Hey guys, Tactical Minds here. Today we're going to be talking about what happens when you bring a knife to a gunfight. But before we get into it, please, as always, thank you to all our latest subscribers. Please, everyone, continue to subscribe. And when you do, go over to where that bell is and hit notifications and hit all. I noticed a lot of my subscribers said they aren't getting notifications for my new videos. And as always, guys, please like, comment, share, subscribe. All that good stuff. Really, really, truly appreciate it. Helps it out a lot. All right. So today, like I said, we're going to be talking about bringing a knife to a gunfight, or what we call in law enforcement the 21-foot rule. We're going to discuss a couple of topics around that. So 21-foot rule, basically in 1983, a police officer by the name of Dennis Tuller, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. It's Tueller, Tuller. So in 1993, Officer Tuller published an article about the need to defend yourself from an attacker with a knife or a blunt weapon with a gun. And basically what the study determined was that in a distance of 21 feet or less, if an attacker had a knife or another type of sharp object with them or something like that, they could close the distance. If they're intended on attacking you, they could close the distance and actually get that knife into you or get an attack on you before an officer could draw his weapon and effectively fire a couple of rounds onto the target and stopping him. So a couple of things to think about with that, okay? So first thing I want to say is, when we look at 21 feet, right, in a distance, if you're standing there and you're looking at someone 21 feet away and they have a knife in your hand, it really seems like they're a decent distance away from you. And it almost seems like you can absolutely, like there's no way that you couldn't draw your weapon and fire a couple of rounds before this guy gets to you, right? But studies have shown, and I'm going to tell you guys for years and years in law enforcement doing this training all the time, they will absolutely get to you every time. Now, there are quicker ways of drawing your weapon and firing, such as firing from the hip and some other things, right? But a normal sized human being on, a straight ground or pavement is going to be able to cover that 21-foot distance before you're going to be able to get a round off target, okay? It's a fact. It's proven over and over and over. Now, that being said, one reason I do bring this up is, and I'm sure this is going to be kind of controversial to some, hopefully not you guys that like to watch this channel, but law enforcement officers get a bad rep when it comes to unarmed shootings, right? And I'm not just saying this because I'm law enforcement and I'm biased. I'm actually trying to educate some people out there, okay? I constantly hear about, oh, they shot this guy, he was unarmed, he had a knife, you didn't have a gun. This is just not fair. And I've proven to lots of civilians that I've shown that, you absolutely, with a knife, will stab that police officer or the person you're intent on stabbing before that person can get their weapon out and shoot you. So when people say that an officer is shooting an unarmed suspect because he has a knife and it's not fair, I promise you, it's not an unarmed suspect, okay? Just because they don't have a gun, they can still get to you. And personally, I'd rather take my chances with someone at a gun who's a bad shot and popping a couple of shots and missing me and possibly hitting my vest or something and stopping that round versus someone coming at me with a knife. Because unless you got some sappy plates or some type of hard ceramic plates or protection, your normal standard issue law enforcement bulletproof vest will not stop a knife thrust. So personally, I'd rather have someone with a bad shot shoot at me sideways all freaking day than I'd rather have somebody, come at me with a knife. So when you hear that they shot an unarmed attacker and the person had a knife in their hand, 9 out of 10 times it's not true. Not saying every time it's not true, but a lot of times it's not. It's just something that people like to say. But the reason I'm, doing this video is not for just law enforcement officers out there who know about this, but I'm doing this more to educate a lot of civilians out there, because this brings up a lot of good topics, right, guys? This brings up some good points. So if at 21 feet, a attacker can close that distance and get to you with that knife to an officer with his weapon that is out and can get to him with that knife before that officer can draw and fire, what does that say for somebody as a civilian who's a concealed carry holder, right? How many more seconds is it going to take you? How many more feet is it going to be? How much longer is it going to take for you to draw that weapon? do you train enough? Like I always say, guys, you can have a $5,000 tool, but if you're not training with it, it's basically crap in your hands. So are you training enough? Are you training enough with your concealed carry holster? Are you training drawing that holster from a seated position? Are you training drawing that holster from a standing position? If you're appendix carrying, are you training on getting that shirt up and getting that weapon out of the appendix before you get to it, right? Is the weapon in your small or your back? Where is your weapon, and how often are you training with it? It doesn't take much, guys, to take 5 minutes a day to just practice a couple of dry runs, drawing your weapon from your concealed carry and getting it out of the holster. A lot of things happen, get hung up on shirts, stuff like that, depending on the weapon you're carrying, depending on the clothes you're wearing that day. It doesn't take a lot to practice, and you need to practice because, again, that 21 feet applies to somebody who's trained and has their firearm out. So that may not apply to you, okay? That may be an even longer distance that they still can close the gap and get to you first. So we need to train, train, train. Now, the other part of this is, the 21-foot rule doesn't give you, as a civilian, just a carte blanche way of saying, okay, guy's 21 feet in front of me, got a knife, shot him. A lot of times it is true, right? But for court purposes, you have to think how a court's going to look at this, right? How's a jury going to look at this? A lot of juries don't know about this 21-foot rule. So what I would, first of all, in a courtroom, I would refer to it as the Tooler study and explain that in 1983, this was the study that was done and this is what it showed. The other thing is you're going to probably have to articulate a little further what your circumstances are, because there are some circumstances that, can kind of go into play with this, right? I mean, if the person's 90 years old and you're a young, fit, in shape, 20, 30-year-old guy, and he's got a cane with a blade on it, and you say, oh, he was 21 feet away, so I shot him, that might not fly, right? If you're at a beach or something, or on some sand or some uneven ground, right? Somebody's not going to be able to run as fast at you on that uneven surface as they are going to be able to run on you on an even paved surface, right? So those are some factors to take into consideration. Again, if the person is morbidly obese, maybe they're 400 something pounds and you're 150 pounds, can that guy really get to you as fast as a normal human being? Like I said, the 21-foot rule does apply, but it applies to most situations, not every. So if you do fire your weapon, just understand that when you go to court, you are going to need to articulate all those factors, size of the person, time of the day, all this stuff, right? But again, it is a good rule to know. It's something to keep in your back pocket as far as defending your life. And it's something I encourage you, if you have something like a rubber knife or something at home, try it with a friend. Stand 21 feet away and run at them with that piece of rubber and have your friend pretend a pen is a gun or something. See if your friend can get that pen out of his pocket and here before you can get to him with that rubber knife. I promise most of the times you won't be able to. And again, guys, this is an officer with a weapon that's open carry. I know there are some open carry states out there, but most places, if you're carrying, you're not law enforcement, it's a concealed carry. So again, guys, like I said, train, 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 train. Train with your off-duty concealed. Train from your seated position, standing, train in different types of clothing, all that stuff, guys, okay? Training is everything. So I hope you guys learned something today. And, if you have anything for me, as always, get in the comment section below. Let me know. Guys, this channel is for all of us to share and to grow, okay? The whole point of a tactical mind is the mind is the strongest tool you have in your body, okay? And I'm going to tell you, as somebody who's been doing this for a long time, the moment you think you're done learning and you have nothing to learn from anybody else, you're done. We always have something we can learn from somebody else. Somebody always has some knowledge that we don't. So let's get in there and let's share this knowledge with each other and have one big community. All right, guys. So as always, stay safe, stay tactical, stay dangerous, stay on that 21-foot rule. Catch you guys later. Have a good night.